Out here this morning working on my stuff, getting ready for another fishing trip. Got my 10-foot telescoping rod all set up. Sadly, last time I was up in San Simeon, I broke the tip off, so I had to glue this eye here in place. Went through and glued all the eyes in place. When you get a new telescopic rod, I think you should do that. They're not glued on that well. They'll start coming loose. And then this was with this particular brand, they have this wandering ferrule, so I glued that in place. So now the thing just barely fits in my pack, but it still fits in there. With this, I use a 65-pound braid, and then my leaders are a 30-pound monofilament. Usually I'm fishing with something like this, 35-pound test, swivel at the top, little snap swivel at the bottom, number 4 hook about a foot up. This is probably a little too high up. I should drop it down a little bit. And I use this rig because I'm usually working the edge of a reef or a hole in a reef, and I'm looking where I want to go, and I can drop it straight down. It'll set there and display the bait about a foot above the water. Another reason I use this is it's just the one hook helps you not get so many snags. Same with the Torpedo rig, as you've seen. Like most people, I started with this rig right here. This is your standard high-low rig you can buy at a tackle shop. Got 2 number 4 hooks on it also, same thing. Swivel on top, snap swivel on the bottom. And I used to use this until I started tying my own, but the second hook just kind of got you, I thought it got me more snags, so I went down to the 1 hook. And, you know, these things are $3 in the store, sometimes $4, so, you know, just tying your own works pretty darn good. So that's kind of how I evolved. You know, I just removed, I mean, you can see mine is just this removed. Now, if I'm casting the old bait and weight, then this is what I'm starting to use right here, your Carolina rig. You see a little swivel right there, and the hook's on the bottom. This is going to lay on the bottom, and we're going to get a little natural action. So, yeah, if I'm out on the South Jetty or the North Jetty, we're going to do a little casting, then this is the Carolina rig. And of course, you know, every now and then you throw a swim bait. That's your standard jig head. You can see how it goes on right there. This is my leader carrier. So I've got right there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaders already prepared ahead of time. And then I hold them in place with my little screws. You know, you can just get this stuff at the hardware store. It's like some kind of insulator. And I even carry a little replacement, although lately I've been doing pretty good at not losing gear. I used to lose gear all the time. Of course, I'm not catching any fish either. I'm not catching many fish. Well, if you're out surf fishing, you probably want something like this, a little pyramid weight. And this is designed to stick in the sand and hold your line in place as, you know, waves come over. Of course, the bigger the waves or the bigger the surge, the larger weight you're going to need. Around here, you'd probably want something about 4 ounces for shore fishing. But if you don't have a lot of current and you're on the mud or something like that, then people would use a flat weight, and that's to just keep your line from twisting. Some people like these for rock fishing because they think they pull up faster out. They get like a little wider one, and when you pull on it, it'll come up to the top of the surface real fast, and that'll prevent snags. I don't really follow that, and I don't do that. Flat weight, same thing as a disc weight, just a little heavier. Main idea is you're going to be on sand or muddy bottom, and it's going to sit there. Make sure your line doesn't twist. So that's my typical gear. So yeah, get back to setting all up. Bonker. Call it Maxwell. Somewhere around 5 in the morning, we just made the hike into Cayucos coves, hoping to catch some nice fish here. Bad case of the early morning uglies, obviously. That's where we just came down from. It's been kind of slow, so I'm hoping to catch a few fish today. House is over the hill. Let's kind of mark this reef right here. We're gonna work that area right out there. We got a negative tide this morning and low swell, cloud cover. And my buddy the seagull watching me, he's rooting for me, saying, Jim, catch those fish. You know I like it when you do. Love to feed the seagulls. And the hermit crabs. All right, let's get this going. is a perfect example of how I use my weight and gear. I'm going to toss it right behind that rock where I see a deep spot that's probably 3 foot deep or so. It was regular tide to be about 5 foot deep, so dropped it right in there. This is a classic series of bites. See if you can see when I get my first one. Did you see it? I'll show it again from the body cam view, but it's a classic series of bites. Did you see that teeny weeny little nibble? Then the next bite is bigger and bigger, and wham, we rip his lips off. I think we got a nice gopher. Big enough to keep. Had to pick Maxwell right back up and put it in the bag because you never leave anything out on the reef, you'll lose it. It's going to be tasty. Yeah, it's going to be tasty with some Red Pepper Hush Puppies and butter sauce. Yeah. See what this guy says. Still learning how to work my new video camera. That's why I pulled it back. Go bleed him out a little bit. Just like I was hoping, didn't take long to catch a fish out here. Under these conditions, you got a nice overhead. I think came on out, hiked down, got to my favorite spot, caught my first fish. Now we're gonna go back out and get another one. Let's hope we get a cabezon. We got that really nice sea lettuce right here. I suppose I should take some of that and give it a try. I didn't harvest any, but it just looks so fresh and tasty. I thought if I was going to do it, that would be the time to do it. There's a little sloshing around the reef showing you what it's like out there. There's bait our hook. I saw a deer on the way in, actually out on some reeds. He was probably eating that sea lettuce. It looks very fresh. Now, do you actually think I'm going to catch anything for the rest of this video after I jinxed myself by telling everybody I was going to walk out there and catch another fish? Of course not. To hit myself on the head and say, hello, McFly. But this is this one sequence here. It does show me pulling my gear through a bunch of seaweed, which if I had that second hook like I was talking about, that kind of might overwhelm the rod. You notice I don't really bend the rod too much because it is a telescoping rod. I try to use the reel to pull on because you'll just pop that bottom base if you pull too hard on. Well, we worked that spot for a while. We worked some other reefs and didn't really get anything. Started working some tide pools. I filmed this next one because I was really hoping I would sneak up on it and drop my bait right in front of that rock and something would come out and get it. But nothing did, but it's still a very pretty tide pool. There was a lot of good visibility that day. Getting much better at filleting fish. I think the first time I did it, it took me about an hour to do 2 fish. I hadn't done it in so long. Now I think the most important thing is that cut right behind the fin there. It's a nice angle. Try to get it as close to the head as you can up there at the top because that's where most of the meat is. And then when you cut down that down the back fin there, just only going about a ½ inch at first so you can see where the ribs are, and then work it down. And that's at least how I do it. So I'm getting kind of better at it.
did the best I could at this thing right there. See that little chunk right there. Got me a nice fillets, couple nice fillets. I'll take the skin off later. That goes inside my bag on ice. See if we got any hermit crab action over here. Not really.
It's been another great trip to these coves just south of the old Ab farm.
Oh, here we go.
Would have been nice to get another fish or two, but the area is just so beautiful with all the birds and everything. Like kayakers going by, and you got the fishermen going out there, so just a great place to hike to. Plus, I did get a fish. So now we're going to take this fish home and cook it up with some Red Pepper Hush Puppies and little butter sauce, nice salad, and some of that world famous tartar sauce I make too. Sounds pretty good. Stick around for it. Okay, Red Pepper Hush Puppies. That's a half teaspoon of salt, that's a quarter cup of flour, and that's a cup of cornmeal. And then you also need a teaspoon and a half of baking soda. And if I had to do this again, I might freshen up that cornmeal in a frying pan for a little bit, just kind of heat it up. There's your baking soda, teaspoon and a half. Our wet ingredients are going to include some onions and red peppers all mixed together, so we need to get that chopped up ahead of time. So I said a quarter cup of onions and peppers, but I think you could put, up to a half cup would be just fine. So you don't want to overmix the wet and dry ingredients, but you don't have to worry about it too much because it's cornmeal. And as you see there, it makes a very wet, light batter, which will end up making nice, light hush puppies. It's important to make sure that we get the right temperature and we have enough oil, and we don't crowd the pan too much because you want it to stay high. And after you cook a few, when you pull them out, you want the heat to recover, and then check your oil again. And if you do that, they'll cook very fast. As you can see, the one I just put in is already browned, so they only take a couple minutes aside. And if you do that, it'll be tasty and delicious. I put them in a teaspoon at a time, or a heaping teaspoon, I guess. Golden brown on the outside, light and fluffy in the middle. Just waiting for a little scoop of butter. Just going to do a quick pan fry on the fish, nothing fancy. I'm not even going to put any milk on the fish, just 2 tablespoons of flour, a little bit of paprika, a little bit of salt. This is chicken smalts from some chicken thighs I made, and I add a couple tablespoons of hush puppy grease and fry them till they talk. Once the grease is talking and you can tell they're crusted on the other side, just flip them. And I should have checked the temperature here, but I went ahead and put the butter on anyway. It turns out the one flake on the left is about 123, so I needed to wait because I was hoping just to have the butter melt on the flake. But I cooked it for a few more minutes, got right up to temperature, and still tasty and delicious with that butter sauce. Yeah, the plate would have looked a little better if the butter was still not quite melted on there, but this is going to look delicious anyway with those hush puppies. A little lemon, and of course, as I said, my world famous tartar sauce. That tartar sauce recipe is available at my other channel. I call it Home from Fishing, along with a bunch of my other recipes. Yes, the fish was delish, and those hush puppies made my wife do the happy dance. Me too. Those are really good. You should try them. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and here's a blooper. If you watch my videos, you'll see that this is my standard. Some kind of weird creature.